up, gun nuts? It's Ferrari Steve, and today I am here to field strip an absolutely ridiculous gun. This is the IMI, that stands for Israel Military Industries, Desert Eagle 50. Boy, this gun is just too loud, too obnoxious, too flashy. The ammo for it is also too big, too heavy, too expensive, and yet when my across the street neighbor, who knew I was a gun nut, came across the street and said, "Hey, I'm selling some of my guns. Would you be interested in buying my Desert Eagle 50? Man, I could not pull my wallet out fast enough to buy that thing. I love this gun. It's just so much fun when you're way out in the middle of nowhere and can pull the trigger and just look at the range on this thing and the huge puff of smoke when one of the rounds hits the side of a mountain. It is, boy, it is just a lot of fun. I mean, flames shoot out. I don't even have enough, I can't zoom out on this enough to show you how far the flames go. So way past here. But anyway, before we proceed, let's do a safety check. The gun is empty, but I want to prove it to you. We're going to eject the magazine. And then get ready, because there's a lot of spring tension on this. Get a good hold of the slide, pull it back, lock it in place, and then visually and manually inspect to make sure the gun is not loaded. Make sure your finger's nowhere near this spot, because it comes down with a lot of spring tension. And again, nothing about this gun is subtle. Everything is over the top. And boy, that's exactly how you want it. So as far as taking it apart, remember we hit this button to eject the magazine. You're going to look for a similar button right here, just on the front of the trigger guard. It's a little bit bigger than, this is your mag release. It's a bigger button than the mag release, but similar kind of, rounded brushed nickel here. And so flip the gun over. I like to put my index finger on that button, and then my hand, this is my left hand, keep my hand right here under the barrel, ready to catch it, because it's going to pop forward with some spring tension. So push in, then I like to put my thumb right here on this little release lever, and listen. It just clicks and springs forward. Now, hold on to the barrel here when it slides forward, because there's a sweet spot you're going to have to get to where you can rotate it out. That's because it's got these two little cutouts here in the slide. See that? Here and here? That correspond to these two little flanges on the barrel. So if you, release that tension and then slide it too far forward, you won't be able to get it out. It's locked in place. You've got to get it out right at that sweet spot, and then the barrel, you can pop it down. As far as the slide goes, if it's well lubricated, you should just be able to rotate forward and let go with this finger, and down it comes. But if you want to control it, that's probably a smart thing to do. Pull the slide off. You've got the frame. You can put it aside. And then you've got the springs here and the little lug here. And that's pretty much all there is to field stripping a Desert Eagle 50. Now, if you want to do a detail strip or get more into the nitty-gritty of the bolt assembly and the firing pin, you need a screwdriver to push this in. You can see mine's a little scratched because I've done that before. Push that in, slide this down, and then you can get out all the internals here. But for a regular field strip, I just go down as far as I can without any tools. Pretty much, my rule for a field strip means I shouldn't need tools. The only exception should be I can use a round. There's some field strips that you can use one of the rounds to push a button in or something, like on an AR-15, or maybe a quarter or a nickel. I use a coin sometimes, a field strip, a Remington 870. I haven't done one of those videos yet, but maybe I should. That's my favorite shotgun. So anyway, a field strip, just this far, you should be able to get here with no tools. As far as putting it back together, there are a couple whammies to look out for, but let's go through it. So grab your slide here. Actually, let me point something out on the barrel as to why I do. Sorry, on the frame as to why I do something on the when putting the slide back in. See these two little holes here in the frame? Those correspond to these ends of the spring assembly here. You want those to seat in there nicely. You're probably not going to guess perfectly at getting those in there when you reassemble it. So what I do, when I'm going to put the spring back in, first I put this little lug in the end, then rotate it so that this opening is as wide as it can be. Then when I grab my spring assembly, you'll notice there's a tab on the top end of the spring assembly. I put that tab in that hole, and then I hold onto the spring assembly with my left thumb. I squeeze the springs together, kind of like they're chopsticks. That means I've got the maximum amount of clearance to get the slide past here. If I've got it open to the side here, when I put my frame on, it's going to grab one of those and prevent me from sliding it forward. So the trick I like to use is squeeze these together, make sure they're right in the middle, make sure I've got clearance, and that way when I slide my frame back on, it just goes right, of course it doesn't when I videotape it, goes right over and all the way to the end, just like that. Now the spring assembly isn't properly lined up, but what I'm going to do is stick my finger in there and kind of push down. That spreads the springs apart and will pop them into those right holes. And how do you test? Well, just give it a little pull there, make sure you've got some spring tension and that it slides easily. Now, don't let go, it could spring forward and fly off, and hold this in place because it's not locked down yet, but that's how I get the slide on. As far as getting the barrel on, again, find that sweet spot here. You're going to want to grab these, look for these little flanges here, these little wings, pop them into those cutouts, and then rotate it and slide everything back. Now, pretty tight tolerances on this, so you want to make sure that the bolt right there is all lined up. And then you're going to want to make sure you squeeze everything back nice and tight. You can put your finger on the end here. Make sure everything pushes back and that the slide pushes back a little bit before you pop this, this release lever back into position. And now everything is back together nice and tight. Rack the slide a few times. Make sure that it moves freely and that everything is functioning as well as you can tell without putting a round down there. Take the safety off. Decock the hammer. And that is how you field strip a ridiculous, crazy, but oh so sexy and oh so fun Desert Eagle 50. This is Ferrari Steve reminding you that a dirty gun, and especially a dirty Desert Eagle 50, is a happy gun. Get out there, get your guns dirty, practice with them. Make sure that the first time that you are required and that you have to use your gun, that really shouldn't be the first time you have used your gun. Get some practice in. Please subscribe if you like what you see. I'll be making more videos. And we'll see you next time. Get out there and have fun with your Desert Eagle 50.